the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Thursday morning. We're glad that you joined us whenever and wherever it is that you join us each and every week, each and every day, and for all of your Auburn daily athletic intake. A lot to dive into this morning. Tahaad Pettiford returning. Auburn picks up another basketball player from overseas. Important official visits coming in tomorrow. A lot of stress on some of these guys. The SEC meetings are going on. Man, I mean, just wherever you want to start, you can start. Randy, good to see you this morning. I do want to start with the importance of Tahaad Pettiford making that decision, waiting to really the last second yesterday, about midday. I don't guess it was really the last second because he had to midnight to make the call, but he waited till the last day, the last possible day to come back to Auburn. And, I'm sure there was a lot to be weighed, and we saw that happen with Janai Broome as well back a year ago. So ends up deciding, and again, in the world of NIL, it makes it a lot tougher for these guys to just go ahead and make the jump. And apparently through all the conversations and all that he had with agents and NBA scouts and teams, that he felt like it was a better fit for him to come on back to Auburn for 1 year. None of us here are crying. I can promise you that.
No, we're not. And I truly think it's the right decision for him. And I'm kind of on the same page that Bruce Pearl is, that, get out there and cheer for these guys. Hope they get the opportunity to move on to the NBA. But, Brett, you talk about something that's next to impossible. It's making the NBA as a point guard. I mean, that is like becoming a starting quarterback in the NFL. Very, very difficult. I've thought personally we've had two that were no-brainers to make it to the NBA, and neither one of them have over the last 10 years. And that's Jared Harper and Sharif Cooper. Neither one of them have found any time in the NBA as a starting point guard. Tahaad, is he better than those two? And maybe. I think he might be a little bit better athletically than both of those guys, but right now I wouldn't say he's any better player than Jared Harper was at Auburn. I'd take Jared Harper every single year from now until the end of time as my starting point guard at Auburn University and be happy about it. So I'm thrilled to get Tahaad back. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I think he's got a little bit more to prove. Maybe some questionable. He'll have a great game and then he'll go missing in another game. And
he kind of did that in the combine too. He had a great game and he came back and had one that wasn't so good. So
well, part of that I think could be where he fit into the system for Auburn last year. You weren't leaning on him as much to have to go out there and get you 16 to 18 points per game. Now he averaged 11, I think, by the end of the year last year, which is great. And he had games where he was clearly the most athletic and the best player and the best NBA potential that Auburn had on that basketball team. So, again, I'm thrilled to get him back, but I think there's some development there left to be had. I think he realizes that if you read into what Coach Pearl says, that Ira Bowman's the guy for him on that. I think a lot of our players feel that way. And why would you argue that Ira Bowman's not the right guy for just about anybody? Because he has taken the skill set and development of the players that we've gotten into Auburn and has advanced all of them that I can see, Brett, outside of the ones that just didn't pan out. But, you take Denver Jones, unbelievable change from the first moment that he walked on at Auburn until he left. Chaney Johnson, I mean, have you seen one develop any more than he did in a 1 year span?
No.
Janai Broome. Janai Broome's not some
he's not
unreal.
A super.
No, he's not some unreal athlete, and we had him developed up to the point of where he barely missed out on National Player of the Year to the perennial 5 years in a row back to he's 13 years old. Cooper Flagg, everybody knew he was going to go number one in the draft. He almost beat him out for Player of the Year. So the development's been exceptionally good at Auburn, and I think when you're Tahaad Pettiford and your end goal is to make the NBA, you've got to decide if you're around the people that are going to get you there. And, Florida, they're getting Walter Clayton Jr. there, Brett. And he didn't start off,
Right.
he's not one of those guys like Mark Sears. He's not one of those guys that started off at Alabama or Florida and just immediately, like Tahaad last year, started wooing people with his athleticism. He had started a lower school, bounce around a bit, and then find his way. And then by the time that, he's at the end of his career there at Florida, he's quite possibly the best player, and he was the best player in the tournament to win a national championship for his team. And I think that will transition over to a great opportunity in the NBA. But back to my initial point, Brett, and your thoughts on that, just so difficult to make the league as a point guard.
It is. And also one Tahaad size. So you add that in to the mix, you got to be, and not to say he's not special, he is extremely special, but not you really just have to blow everybody's socks off. Like every time you go, and he did, man. I mean, like this kid had a great combine. I mean, when you go and look at what he was able to do and the numbers he put up and stuff, and still how hard it is to make that. And again, we got some comments coming in, and Glenn said he thinks he realized he'd be sitting in the G League or have to go overseas. And Justin said SEC going to be tough as hell again. There ain't no question about that. I mean, the level, this is like pro ball. Let's be honest about it. I mean, playing in the SEC at any sport is like playing in the pros. I'm not too sure. It's not harder, maybe in some form or fashion, because, in the pros, everybody's a pro. In the SEC, it's how many pros can you get on your team to compete with everybody else's pros. Now, you're going to have some positions probably you're not quite as good, and that's really the difference in making your team elite versus being a really good team. I mean, you can be a really good team and not make postseason. And I'll dive into that a little bit with SEC meetings coming up. And, Coach Freeze, I thought, had some great comments about, the playoff. And I think some of the things that coaches are talking about now with the structure of the college football, something's got to change there. We'll get into that. But getting back to Tahaad Pettiford, Randy, I don't know that there's ever been a more important guy to come back than Tahaad Pettiford for a particular team. This is a completely different team. Completely different look. Nobody. There's really no chemistry on this team. Everybody that had built that camaraderie is gone. So they've got, again, to get in fast forward motion this summer and really get in there and start learning, and to have your point guard coming back, one as talented as Tahaad Pettiford, is so extremely important in being the glue that's going to probably hold the team together and make this team what it is. Coach Pearl told us a few weeks ago. He said, we're going to be the hardest team to predict, maybe one of the hardest teams to predict in the country, because we just don't know. We got a bunch of good players. Don't know how it's all going to pan out. And speaking of that, and we can continue to talk a little bit about Tahaad some more, but Auburn gets an international player from Serbia. I think I'm saying his name right, Filip Jovic. I'm going to go with that unless somebody tells me, unless I can get a interpreter over here to give me my pronunciation correctly. But Filip Jovic comes in at 6'9". He averaged about 12 points. He's been playing in a semi-pro league. It's not like he's been playing in college. He's been playing in a semi-pro league over there. That was a huge piece to add to the front court, Randy. Everybody talked about us needing one more guy, and he's not 6'11", but he's a very athletic 6'9" guy that's very versatile, that can kind of move around on the floor.
Well, I watched a lot on him last night. I probably watched 30 minutes worth of video footage on him last night. And, here's a couple of takeaways from him. He is an unbelievable athlete. Yeah, you may say European ball player. We get into these stereotypes, white, black. Better, I mean, we think the Mr. Fundamental, and you're going to have the Jokic and those type of players.
Tony Kukoc was pretty good.
That's not. This guy is an athlete. This guy is a high flyer. He's above the rim player. He's not that good a shooter. He has some development to do when it comes to the outside shot. It's a little glitchy. Doesn't mean he doesn't knock them down. When he's open, he'll knock them down, but it's a little glitchy. And I think that back to that development question, which I think we just happen to have some of the best development coaches in the country. You go and you get an athlete that has been through that European ball circuit. There's a certain way that they play. There's a system ball way that they play, but you take extreme athleticism and you bring it over and you hope that it gets developed. I think that's a huge get, Brad. Have you watched much on him?
I have watched him. Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, he
really,
is.
really.
I'm trying to think who I would compare him to that we've had on the roster here. You know, I tell you who he's a little taller, of course, but Devin Cambridge. You know, if you remember, Cambridge had an unorthodox shot, and when he got it going, he could knock down 3 or 4 in a row and have a big game. He always played above the rim.
Right.
That's a pretty good example of what I think that we're getting here. But I hope that Coach Bowman and others can develop him up to even be better than that. But I love going and getting international guys, Brett. I wish we'd get a pipeline at Auburn to get 1 or 2. Look at the NBA. I mean, it's not. There's a true reason. There's something they're doing there that we're not. Let's just put it that way. And you
Joker and Doncic are 2 of the best players in the league.
Yeah, and it's not just them, man. It's depth. It's depth of.
No, yeah, I'm just saying that. But when you look at a league that, when you look at superstars, and 2 of the biggest superstars in the league are European players, you know, guys from overseas. I mean, it says something.
If you go to an NBA game, though, you'll see a lot of mid-tier guys that are on the court that are averaging, 8 to 12 points per game, and they're getting big minutes in the NBA. They're European guys.
Yep,
they're guys that have a plug-and-play system that they can come in and go with, and there's a lot of confidence in what they're developing over there. So I think that you need to lean into that, and maybe this is the start of us leaning into that, Brett.
Yeah, like Glenn said, Duke got a guy from Italy. Back in the day, as Justin said, Barkley tried to get Dirt, if you'll remember, from Germany. That again, they play great.
Not Dirt. Hey, I don't want to upset everybody, but this guy is not Dirt.
No, he's not Dirt. No, there's a reason. But
if you've ever watched Charles's interview on Dirt, Dirt was 6'11", 16-year-old, and Barkley's on an overseas trip, and he's asked to come watch this kid, and he's scoring 50 and 60 points against older men, and he's out there, and he's just making everything he's throwing up. I mean, we're not getting the next Dirt, but I'll take someone that you can develop up, and I'm telling you, the athleticism on this guy is really high end.
Well, there's a reason why Americans go to Europe and play basketball and then come back too. I mean, it's a high level of play over there. I mean, and vice versa. Obviously, the influx of Europeans coming over here and playing college and pro basketball and being really, really good. So what does it look like now for this Auburn basketball team moving in to the season? Big additions. Will stay in the front court. Keyshawn Hall, big time pickup, I feel, from Mississippi State. I think this kid really started to learn what he could do last year for Mississippi State.
Yeah,
he'd been there. Yeah, Keyshawn Murphy. Yeah, I mean, he really. You look at him, and then you get the Emeka Purum, young center, raw, but a true big man down there. Looking forward to seeing how kind of all that mixes together. And then you got some other guys that are really versatile. Maybe the biggest pickup out of the portal in the whole cycle was Keyshawn Hall from Central Florida. So, I mean, you look up and down. I mean, the guard that we got from Texas Tech, Kevin Overton. This is a team that's got a lot of great pieces. They got to get in there and figure out how to play with each other. Kind of like how things went a couple of years ago when you brought a bunch of guys in. I remember the year Walker Kessler came in and all that. They had to get in there that summer and really get after it and establish the chemistry. Jabari Smith, all those guys, and hey man, it worked out. So this is not a team because you lost 10 scholarship players that you're going to go, man, I don't know what we're going to do. You got the biggest key yesterday in Todd Pettiford and all these pieces, man, that are going to go with it. Not to mention the freshman you got coming in. I mean, I think Caden Magwood is going to be able to come in and give Tahaad some quality minutes rest. I mean, Tahaad's not going to be able to play 40 minutes. He's going to play a lot, but you want to have a guy come in that you feel comfortable playing the point guard. He's going to have somebody help him from time to time.
Well, I'm going to bounce it around on thoughts as you're sitting there talking, Brett. One, as long as Bruce Pearl is our coach, just you can get rid of the whole roster and give him 2 months to go out there and put another team together with the development that he's already proven that he can do and the NIL money that I think that
if
we
you
can
don't go to
together.
the Senate.
Well, I was about that. Look, I'm spinning in a certain direction here. So you just caught me a little bit early. But my point, as long as he's around, I feel really good. Look, Bruce Pearl, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch his movement over the last year and realize there are some political aspirations out there to be had. We are so lucky as Auburn fans to have someone that we can claim as our own, not only for the next few years that we're lucky enough to have him, hopefully, as coach, but after he moves on. I think that much of him, Brett, and I think he thinks that much of Auburn. So I was going to ask you that, though. I mean, there's a lot of buzz around here. He would be an amazing senator. I think he is already – I see pictures of him and Katie Britt together as much as I see Katie Britt with anybody else. So I don't know how much I should read into that, Brett, but I do read into it. I do watch his movement, and I do appreciate that he's vocal and he's presentable, and I think he's an amazing leader. And look, I'd love him to be Auburn's head coach from now until the end of time, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I hope that if he does decide to step away from that he goes and helps this country, because Lord knows we need a lot of help.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, he's not getting any younger. The landscape of this business is getting tougher, and older guys are phasing their way out. And I hate to say that. Look, I'm like you. I mean, I'll echo your sentiments, but I'm being realistic here. I don't want to make a prediction. Gary Harris asked me on his show last Friday to make a prediction on how much longer Bruce Pearl was going to be at Auburn. I don't know that. Only he does. Now, I've had some close conversations with him, and I can interpret what he said. And I'm not going to throw that out there for everybody, but the time is near. And I don't mean this year, but I mean, I would expect in the next 3 years that he probably decides, if he's at an age where he wants to go pursue something else, because Bruce Pearl's a guy that's not just he loves the lake and he loves his time there, but he's not just going to go sit in the house for the remainder of his time on earth. If he feels like he's got gas in the tank and he wants to do something to be, to contribute to society or whatever, and if it's politics, which he's very involved in voluntarily, through his stance on Israel and the things that he feels passionate about. I mean, I could definitely see him headed in that direction. And again, let's just be honest, coming toward the end of his career. Is that 5 years? Is it 2 years? Is this the last year? I don't know. Only he really will know. And maybe he doesn't even really know that right now. Maybe he just has a time frame in mind of what he wants to do. But if there are political aspirations there, and if he has had discussions of possibly making a Senate run, and Tommy Tuberville now, saying that he's going to go try to be the next governor of the state, and try to somebody needs to fill that position, would his name pop up? Yeah, I mean, that was talked about the other day, and it's not some BS talk. I mean, I think it's realistic. So, yeah, we want him to keep coaching, and we're looking forward to this year. But I think you just got to start preparing yourself. I mean, it was like the Nick Saban deal with Alabama. It was like, we know this is coming. Now, we don't know when it's coming, but we know it's coming. And Alabama fans just like, man, please, one more. And then when he finally went in there and said, I've had enough of this, he dropped the hammer. And I don't even really think he knew until it was kind of right then. And I kind of went through that story with you back in the day. And so, yeah, we got that coming up with Coach Pearl for sure.
And we got to take advantage of talking about a sponsor of ours, and big announcement with Tommy Tuberville at Byron's. And Brett had to prod Tud a little bit. on where his invite was for the
Man,
announcement.
I was waiting, but
And then Tud had to prod me a little bit and said that he heard that a couple of guys from Tallapoosa County were coming, and he only wanted Lee County guys there, and so just to get rid of us. And
we didn't
I
make the Secret Service
I
list.
quickly went back and said I might live in Lee County for a short period of time now, but as quick as my rear end can get right back to that lake, I'm heading. And but isn't that awesome, man? I'm what a great business Byron's is. Byron's is one of those businesses, Brett, that when Coach Tuberville decides he's going to make an announcement and you see he's at Byron's, you're like, where else would he go announce in Auburn? And Tud does an amazing job of service. I'll say that. I was complimenting him on that a couple of weeks ago with my kid's favorite place to go eat's Baumhauer's. And we know he owns both of those places and that he, sponsors both of our shows through both of those places. But that was great to see him make that announcement on Fox News and other places that he'll be running for governor and to be at Byron's.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome in, Faith. And speaking of that, we'll be over at Byron's in a couple of weeks, or Baumhauer's, depending on where Tud wants us to land. But when I was at Auburn, everybody knows I worked closely with Coach Tuberville. I drove him around on a golf cart a good bit when I was down there. So he liked to make a frequent stop to Byron's. And going back to the origination of Byron's, Miss Reba Gulledge, who worked in Auburn Sports Information, she was the secretary there. Love her to death, man, by the way. And so spent a lot of time. That was her family. Reba Gulledge, Byron, her husband, everybody. I mean, just such a staple of Auburn, and it goes way back. Coach Tuberville loved to go over there and get a biscuit, I'll tell you. And he didn't.
You were his right hand man. You were the one having to go get those.
Yeah, there were a lot of biscuits bought and stuff, and traveling. Exactly. Yeah, I knew what my role was back then. So, but yeah,
it hasn't changed much, Brett.
It hasn't. Hey, I mean, if he called me and asked for a biscuit today, I'd say, all right, Coach, what kind you want? Bacon, egg, and cheese. What do you want? So we can get you hooked up. But well, man, yeah, a lot of great things going on, and we appreciate, like you said, Randy, Tud and Byron's and Baumhauer's. But yeah, what a great place to announce that you're going to run for governor. So we got a lot of moving pieces. There's just a lot of good Auburn people that are involved in the political scene and in the sports scene. And then when that string is pulled and Bruce Pearl decides to move on to whatever that next career is, who will we be talking about on this show as our next basketball coach? So we'll save that for another day for sure.
Well, let me tee both of y'all up on my final thought. And I think it's a discussion that y'all have in the next 20 minutes or so. But Sankey's, comments, discussions, SEC Media Days going on, Brett, and or at least SEC meetings going on currently. And he's kind of on the media circuit and has been for a couple of weeks. But the feel that I get is he's taking the gloves off. It's like, look, the NCAA doesn't get their stuff together. The SEC is either we are or we aren't. Depends on who you talk to, but we can separate this thing and go our own merry way. And then figure out how we can all come together for a national championship run in these sports. But however it needs to be, somebody with some teeth has got to step up to the forefront and be a leader to get us some at least some ground rules that we can all start playing under. And I appreciate him taking a stance here. I think somebody needs to. We've been begging, whether that be Nick Saban or whoever you want. It could be Bruce Pearl. I mean, my gosh, we both here in the state of Alabama had some of the best leaders that we've had, especially vocally, throughout the media. I mean, you wouldn't find two better than Bruce Pearl and Nick Saban to put in front of a mic and have to communicate their thoughts on something like this better than the two of them. So my point, though, is we got to get some kind of leadership function going, and at least the SEC's not sitting back, not saying anything. I mean, Sankey's going straight to the public and saying, I don't like it. Our coaches don't like it. It's not fair to our players, not fair to our institutions, the way that things are currently going. And if we can't get some ground rules going that we can all work under, we'll separate ourselves and go run it on our own. And I think we've been asking for that for quite some time. And, I'll step aside and let the two of y'all talk about it. Wide open, real quick plug on our businesses. You can probably hear the buzzer going off over here beside me. That's a DTF machine with a lot of
I hear a
softball and
lot of
baseball.
noises. I hear a lot of noises going off in the
Well,
back. I'm
I'll
just
tell you what
glad
that
that you didn't
is.
freeze up on me. And I was like, the hell happened right here? And it's like, okay, the power went off again down there. So I know what's happening.
Well, Brett, it's softball and all-star baseball season, all-star season going on, travel uniform season going on. That's a DTF machine pressing those prints down on jerseys right now. 256-825-0197, screen printing, embroidery, DTF machine, any and all promotional products we can help you through, Lee Apparel. And then Sign Source, major growth on that end. I was kind of discussing some of the moving parts that we've got going on with Brett. You know, one quick thing that maybe not everybody out there knows is we're heavy into the digital boards and digital signage business. We've got one major project going on with the new school system that you're working on, Sport Plates football field, but we got 5 or 6 more like that around the state going on with digital boards, Brett. And so if you're at a school system that needs an entryway sign, a digital board out front, or a digital scoreboard, a digital multimedia board out on one of your fields, give us a call at Sign Source, 256-825-0197. Step aside. I'll be tuning in to y'all.
All right,
Bye,
buddy.
Randy.
See,
Thank
man.
y'all.
Have a good day. And front stage now. Welcome in, Faith. And we'll get started as always and let you give your plugs.
Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Green. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama, proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast and Auburn athletics. With it getting so hot outside, that just means that everybody's AC units are going to be running a lot more than they have been, and it's getting hot and it's getting fast. So calling Green, they're going to save you thousands of dollars on the installation process of a carrier unit. And we know how reliable carrier units are. We've talked about it so much. So with using Green, they're going to save you tons of money, even if you're building a new home. Green, they work with some of the construction companies and builders here in Auburn. I know for sure, probably in other places too, but make sure you call on them because again, they'll save you lots of money.
They absolutely will. And Scout Program Management will save big school systems and companies lots of money by handling their project, making sure it's done correctly. Full service construction management firm, taking you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product. And you do not want to spend millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars on projects and it be done incorrectly. And you go back and you have to fix a bunch of crap. So Scout Program Management will make sure that it's done correctly. Call on them. Check them out of Birmingham, Alabama. They serve the entire Southeast.
Bunkers in Auburn. Guys, we were actually at Topgolf yesterday in Birmingham, and all I could think about was going to bunkers because I was getting so frustrated because I'm so bad at golf that I just wanted to play a different sport. I was getting so mad. I was like,
I did
wanna
have
go
video
bunkers.
evidence of our game yesterday that we might throw out there for everybody.
I don't think we should, but I was getting so frustrated. So if you're not even good at golf, Bunkers has 27 different sports. You can go over there and play one of the other sports on the golf simulator bays because if you're like me and you get frustrated, please just head over to Bunkers. They're going to be able to keep you right over there. They've got 2 different bars, great food, and a great atmosphere there.
We had a great time yesterday. But yeah, Bunkers, thank you so much for what they do for our program. We love it. We're long overdue for getting back over to Bunkers. And so we'll be back over there very, very soon as well. But yesterday we did have a really good time with our show that we filmed and able to catch up with one of the top recruits in the state that Auburn really is putting a full court press on. I'll let you share that here in just a little bit or a little bit later on in the show about that. But had a great trip. We laughed a ton yesterday, and it was so worth it. Just a great time that we had with our On the Road show, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Faith, the SEC meetings, a lot being discussed in Destin, and you know, one of the things is in the 26 year, will it go to a 16-team playoff? And I think, you know, there's mixed emotions of that. And then if you do that, how is it going to look? And, you know, from a playoff standpoint, how many teams should the SEC be guaranteed? The Big Ten be guaranteed? And let's just be honest, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to drive this boat. the ACC and the Big 12, they don't really have a say. They're going to be told what they get. And people can say, well, that's not fair, whatever, but it's just the way it is. The Big 10 and the SEC, we're in a race to see which one could be the most dominant, or at least to solidify that those two conferences were the two conferences that were going to dictate what goes on in the future of college football and frankly college athletics. To be honest, when the SEC grabbed Texas and Oklahoma, then it was the the Big 10 going out getting USC and Oregon and trying to one punch for another. And so now you got this. And so Sankey is right. I mean, he's the one that's going to decide whether they even want to be part of the NCAA moving forward in a few years. I mean, there's a lot of things going to be changing.
So how would that work if they decided not to be a part of the NCAA?
They're just going to create their own deal, because I think –
would that be all sports?
I think that's something up for discussion. I mean, I think it probably would be. I think there's so much money in the contracts with the SEC and the Big 10. If you took them out of the NCAA, it would dissolve. The NCAA, the biggest moneymaker for the NCAA is the basketball tournament. Mm-hmm. And if they were to pull out of that, or they were to try to figure out some kind of offhand partnership with NCAA, that would be what it would be. But I think basically it would be a removal of the governance system, if you want to even call it that still, by the NCAA, and the Big 10 and the SEC would come up with the rules on how to govern all the sports. I really do. I think that's when I say eliminate the NCAA, remove yourself from the NCAA, that means everything. I think you pull out, everything pulls
mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just so much talk behind everything that's going on. And I don't think there's enough facts behind what's being said at this point. And so I feel like going and talking about it, it's running in circles and it's a lot of confusion. Where it's like, where do we go from here?
There's a lot of, and we've heard from a lot of the coaches this week. And another thing that keeps getting brought up every year is, should SEC go from an 8-game schedule to a 9-game conference schedule? And with the 9-game conference schedule, there's going to be changes there. And how do you want to look at an SEC championship game? I think the SEC championship game, the Big 10 championship game's on life support. It's just a matter of time before that's eliminated. You got to go to some type of play-in. And we heard Coach Freeze talk about that just a few days ago, pitting, and he's even taking it a step further. Don't pit the SEC top 8 teams against each other for the 4 spots. Pit them against the Big 10 in a tournament style thing to try to get into the playoff. You don't think people would watch that? I agree with him. I mean, if we're doing everything for TV ratings and money, my Lord, everybody'd be tuned in watching that to see who could get the most teams in the playoff. And so kind of like an NFL style, maybe, break it off into conferences or whatever like that, where you have, north, east, however you want to do it, south, divisions of the conference, and then figure out how to get teams into the playoff. I mean, it's just, there's so much being kicked around right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's just the way that it is right now. And it's crazy what everybody's just throwing out there and the different ideas and everything.
And then you got to look at adding a 9th game or staying at 8. How does that affect all these rivalries? How does that affect the Iron Bowl? How does it affect Alabama and Tennessee the 3rd Saturday in October? How does it affect any of these? I mean, I mean, how does it affect the Auburn-Georgia game? I mean, we've already seen, Auburn lose the LSU game through all of this. And everybody goes, oh, they'll never do that. They'll never change. Shoot. And the way things are changing now, and you eliminate a championship game and know that you got to potentially play. Look, it's coming. I think we've all talked about it. Could Auburn and Alabama potentially play twice in a season? Well, it's set up now to where they could possibly play twice in a season, because if they finished at the top of the conference, even though they played each other in an Iron Bowl, could go right back, play each other in a championship game. So now you definitely could see that possibility in a playoff scenario. All right, so another thing, if you do this play-in type playoff deal, how does that affect the regular season? Well, obviously it diminishes it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aren't you fighting to get – now, again, you want to win to get in that top 8 so you can get into the play-in scenario, but, boy, it really diminishes then anything less. If you're not making that to try to get into the playoff, man, you really are considering that just a lost season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the way that it all is set up, could be set up, everything like that is just, there's so many unanswered questions.
Right.
Where I just think
Justin thinks you need to be in Destin asking Greg Sankey those questions right now. I'm going to speak for Faith, Justin. I don't think she would argue with being at the beach. So, and when we get off this podcast, she may ask me why she's not at the beach. Justin, or she may just ask me right now on air.
Why am I not at the beach?
Yeah, there you go. Why didn't she go down there to the beach? So she was busy interviewing a top prospect yesterday. I can tell you that. So we can't be in 40 places at once. So, but the meetings going on in Destin, really, I think the substance behind everything. And then you heard Kirby Smart come out and talk about these high school recruits getting upwards of $20,000 a month to go ahead and commit. All right, so you and I talked about this about 4 or 5 weeks ago at JR's when the kid from Thompson was getting recruited to go to Georgia, right? And we started going, where's this money coming from? The high schools aren't paying this. It is absolutely companies with ties to colleges, like maybe a Nike or an Under Armour or something, that is going in, trying to get a kid bought into a school, committed, funnel money through, and then create a pipeline to that college. And then it's like Kirby said, if they're reneging on their commitment, then they have to pay it back. So
okay, so here's what brings up another question. So if you're getting $20,000 a month to commit to a school, first of all, when we were talking about Travis Burgess and committing to UNC, we thought he was going to take his OVs. I think I said, I was like, something massive must have happened for him to have went ahead and committed to UNC for him to not even take his other OVs. Okay, there was that. I don't know if it's him getting paid whatever X amount. Okay, hypothetically speaking, people are going and they're getting $20,000 a month to go ahead and commit. You start spending that money because, again, you're 18. You don't know how to budget money. You don't know what you're doing.
You're not putting it in a savings account, or you're not
putting it especially if your parents aren't. Yeah, if your parents aren't taking a hold of it, or I don't know, maybe they're using it, whatever. Maybe they're giving it to them so that they can help their families out, whatever. I don't know what the deal is. Doing that, you decide, wait, I don't think I want to go there. I want to go ahead. I want to flip. I'm getting offered something really great right before signing day. I want to flip. What if that was 3-4 months that you were committed? That's $80,000.
Yep.
You've spent that $80,000.
Guess what's going to happen? The school he flips to is going to have to cover that money.
How much baggage is everybody now going and coming into somewhere with out of high school? We've seen it in college now recently. Out of high school, you're already coming with baggage. You're coming with, and you're at a fresh start, right?
With debt. You're coming in with debt. I mean, you've went out and spent all this money, and then you changed schools. And now the school that you're flipping to is like, well, if you want me to come, I owe this school over here $120,000.
And I feel like coaches are going to be like, oh, that's like, it's fine. We've got it. We've got you covered. Like, we want to help you.
If
And
they're important enough to them, they'll do it. You know, they
I
will.
can see everybody, though, behind the scenes pulling their hair out, being like, are you freaking kidding me? This kid. And every time if they see him on the field or if they see him somewhere, they're going to be like, this kid cost me this amount to just get him here. And just have like an underlying anger, maybe.
Yeah, and the pressure to win will always allow this to go on.
Yep.
You'll never get everybody in the room to agree, hey, we're tired of this. They're all tired of it, but the pressure to win and to pay, to be able to still pay under the table, even though things are out in the open, if you came up with some rules to try to go back to the way it used to be, you're still not going to be able to control boosters paying guys under the table to come to the school. So there's no way to police this thing. So they have to accept the world they're living in. They all created this.
Yeah.
They really did. So now they've got to deal with it. And all the kids have all the leverage, man. If you're a very highly recruited, top ranked kid, you got all the leverage, man. You control it all, period. And, you know, Lane Kiffin, when he speaks, he laughs about it, but what he's saying is really serious. He tries to play it off as he's kidding, but he's like, they were asking him about stuff. He's like, no, he said, I take Kirby's philosophy. I just pay more. We just pay more. You know, everybody wants to get in front of the camera and talk, oh, it's about relationships. And you and I've talked about that, and the kids have said that. And I do truly think from the kids' standpoint, it is about who they feel more comfortable with and the NIL opportunities to go hand in hand. But let's not be naive that when it comes down to it, these coaches are trying to outbid each other, and they're trying to do that. And so do you come up with a salary cap on how much you can pay your team? Okay, that's great. You ain't salary capping booster A and booster B over here from paying a kid under the table. And so then back in the day, you were like, well, I don't want to do that, or I'm hesitant to do it because NCAA is going to throw down sanctions on you.
Well, what about when they leave?
NCAA doesn't have any power anymore.
Well, so what if the SEC leaves the NCAA? Right. Then
that's
what happens?
I'm saying. I mean, they're pretty much going to walk out the door anyway, man. You talk about just a total disarray right now, from the structure of how you want to determine who gets in the playoff to how many teams are going to get in the playoff. Another thing, while we're at it, and we'll talk briefly on this, and then we'll slide over and talk about some of the OVs coming in tomorrow, is the second portal window. I think everybody has unanimously said they're fine with the portal. Mm-hmm. But this second portal window is rough. And basically, again, you got spring ball that comes in, and then as soon as spring ball is over, all these kids jumping in, moving around, playing the leverage game, having to re-recruit those guys. It's gotten so bad, Faith, that teams don't even want to have an 8A game anymore.
Yep.
I mean, we're eliminating spring football games because the coaches are like, I don't want to showcase all my players that are maybe on the 2 and 3 deep roster for somebody to come over that needs a receiver really bad to come and snatch my fifth guy that I expect to play eventually and be on the team, but he may be their number one guy. So I'm not going to put him out here on ESPN on a spring game for everybody to watch and go, oh, the portal opens on Saturday. Let's go get that guy. That's what it is. Exactly what it is. So a lot to fix.
It's just frustrating, and it's just hard to watch. It feels.
Well, I just don't think – I think you said it a minute ago, not in this way, but kind of. I just don't think we're any closer to an answer.
No.
I mean, we just keep adding things to the mix and coming up with all types of different scenarios. They don't know which to fix first. I mean, where do you start? Do you start with the portal? Do you start with NIL?
Which is the biggest problem?
Yeah. Do you start with the conference? Do you start with NCAA?
But like, what do you think is the biggest problem right now?
Well, what started all this is the combination of the portal and NIL.
So where do you start trying to fix those things?
I think that's what we just talked about. I don't know that anybody knows.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point being is the reason that they keep coming up with different things that are more other problems that they're having is because they don't know how to even address anything right now.
Hey, have you ever seen a boat? And I'm sure you have on all the memes and the videos.
Yeah, I've seen a boat before.
Let me finish.
Not yours yet. Haven't been invited out on that one. But
Right. You've seen pictures of it though, right?
yeah, I have. Still haven't been invited.
Before you cut me off and let me finish, the boat out of control that's spinning around and like maybe somebody fell out of it, but it's still in gear and you got people going, we got to get control of that or it's about to do damage. It's about to run over somebody. It's about to go up on land or whatever. And then you get this brave soul that tries to time it perfectly in a boat and then jump over in the other boat that's out of control to try to kill it. Who is that guy or who is that committee? That's what I picture the NCAA right now is that meme of that boat going in circles out there out of control with nobody behind the wheel. Who's going to be the one to take the leap and get over in the boat and try to shut it down before it kills everybody? You got me. It's a pretty good analogy, even though
it was. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. All right. Speaking of some,
I like the way that you're just.
I mean, that's kind of how my day feels most of the time too. By the way, somebody would come in and take control. All right, sure shot, Faith.
Past sure shot yesterday was thinking about going in there, but we had some other things to do. They've got literally anything when it comes to firearm apparel, hunting needs. Like, I'm not kidding, anything that you can imagine. Brett and my family are actual customers of Sure Shot, and I mean that. What else can I say?
We do our part in contributing to keeping them in good standing in business. I'll tell you that.
Yes, they sell and trade new and used firearms. Brett always says they've got deals going on all the time when it comes to their firearms. Scott will be able to answer any single question that you have. So calling them at 256-329-0080. And Oliver Ross, if you've got a party of 20 people or if you've got a convention, sorority, fraternity, anything, all the way up to 20,000 people, Oliver Ross is going to be able to get you covered by having certified and licensed bartenders that are going to be able to fully take care of your bartending needs when you can focus on the entertainment process and you don't have to worry about it. Weddings, anything. They've got you covered 100%.
No doubt about it. Went and saw one of their Instagram posts this morning. Really, really classy. Go out there and check out Oliver Ross. Okay, Faith, to kind of close it out, we've got a big weekend ahead. You got regional baseball coming up with Auburn. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. We got the OVs. We keep kind of pounding this square peg in a round hole deal with Landon Duckworth. But I think now the importance of him being the lone OV scheduled at the quarterback position. I mean, you hate to say all eggs are in one basket. I don't know that if it doesn't work out with Landon Duckworth, what Auburn does. I mean, there's a couple of other kids being kicked around. I'm not even going to bring them up because I'll be honest with you, and Auburn may end up taking one of them at the end. I think it may be Landon Duckworth or maybe no quarterback in this class. And is that devastating? I don't know. I mean, do you want a quarterback in every class? Yeah, I think you should, because what happens next year if everybody leaves? What if Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight all say, well, we've enjoyed it, but we're going somewhere else. And you better brace, because it can happen in this world now. I mean, not to have somebody in a class is really taking a major chance. So maybe Auburn's got some other guys, and like I said, they do have some guys that aren't from around here that they're in on or have been in on, but maybe kind of tempered that down because they thought they were going to either get Travis Burgess or maybe Landon Duckworth. But Landon, anytime you can get a 4-star quarterback that's as versatile as Landon Duckworth from in-state, I think you take him. He's being pursued by Ole Miss and South Carolina and a boatload of other teams. But I think this is a massively crucial OV coming up this weekend with Auburn and Landon Duckworth.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about him yesterday when we were on the road, and I mean, that kid is just the word that was used to describe him that has stuck out with me was just a fluid quarterback. Just every movement he had was fluid, and it looked so natural, and it was, again, something that you can't coach and you can't teach to guys, of just the athleticism and his natural God-given talent of being able to handle the football.
So we'll watch that one very, very heavily. Auburn's got some guys coming in that are already committed that we talked about earlier. And we'll go back down the list for everybody tomorrow because we'll see if there's any additions made or anything. But I know we'll watch for Hezekiah Harris, who's been committed a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely one that, Auburn has been, keeping that relationship. I think a lot of people are watching that relationship too to make sure it stays firm. And so you get him in on an OV. What will his reaction be after taking this OV and being committed so long? Will things change? Will he decide to shut it down after this, or will he keep going? And, I know there's some other colleges, heavily pursuing him along with other guys. But we'll go down the list more in detail tomorrow for sure. I do want to get to a couple more partners here, and then I want to let you have a little time to talk about what we did yesterday. And again, another edition of On the Front Row, another top prospect here in the state. Was a really good visit. I'm going to let you talk about it. But first, we're going to talk about Old Number One Customs.
Old Number One Customs. Don't DIY it in 2 years. Get it done in 2 weeks. Buy Old Number One Customs. Don't let your wife hate you. Send her on a trip. Then also spend money while she's gone on that trip that you're paying for and get her kitchen redone or bathroom redone. Whatever it is, make it beautiful. It's going to be awesome with Old Number One Customs. They know exactly, kind of what you describe, and you're able to kind of tell them. They're professionals. They are going to pick up what you're putting down and be able to make it beautiful for you in just 2 weeks.
Can't do hardly anything in 2 weeks, much less come in and do a full renovation. They can, though, at Old Number One Customs. 334-752-6162. By the way, they do some beautiful outdoor areas as well on patios, decks, outdoor kitchen stuff. I mean, they just go check it out at their website. And again, I will be having Old Number One Customs come and get a plan for my master bathroom here. So go and check them out.
JFA Blue Plumbing. Guys, how awesome is having filtered water out of every single faucet you've got? You probably don't know because you don't have the Home Atlas Water Filter Duo. But with a Home Atlas Water Filter Duo put in by JFA Blue Plumbing is going to transform not only just your showers, your dog bowls, everything, but it's going to completely transform your body, because when you're putting in purified water, you're going to feel more hydrated. And I like to say your science fact of the day is your body is made up of 75% water. So being able to have filtered water in your body is going to make you feel so much better. It's going to help your skin, your hair, everything. So call on them, 844 JFA Blue.
There you go. So easy to remember.
Easy.
Can't go wrong there. All right, Faith, before we leave this morning, sign off. Great visit yesterday. Another great interview you had with another top prospect.
Yes, Vodney Cleveland. We were up at Parker High School yesterday, and when Vodney came and got there, Maddie and I were talking about it. He was like just the biggest teddy bear that I wanted to just hug, and he was so sweet, and he had just the sweetest personality with like the deepest voice and was so big. It was just like
He may have
it's
had
the
one of
hardest.
the deepest voices I've ever heard. That guy's got to be able to sing.
Oh, there's actually no question about it. Um, and he was so, so nice being able to he finally was, I got him able to warm up and kind of talk some.
Did an
And
outstanding job, by the way. He
oh
did.
my
He
gosh,
was
he did
great.
awesome. He was so, so sweet. Loves hanging out with his family, loves hanging out with his sister. She goes to Alabama State in Montgomery. Um, he Again, I asked him, I said, "What do you do outside of football? Like, if you're not playing football?" He was like, "Man, I guess I hang out with my family and,
Didn't he say video games maybe a little
but
bit?
he said, "Barely." He said, "I guess. Video games, maybe, not really." And he was like, "If I ever I guess I don't know if this is football, but I like to work out too." And you can tell he likes to work out. That video of him bench
Good Lord.
pressing 345 pounds, he said he got 7 reps in. I said, "Well, what's your PR at bench?" He said, "Oh, I haven't tried, but if I had to guess, 400 or something,
Yeah,
405."
405, 415.
I was like,
Well, throwing up what he threw up as much as he did and as fast as he did, it's
he
easily
was
in the
cranking
405.
those reps out. It was crazy, and you can tell. I was able to ask him about his visit at Auburn because that's the only visit he's gone on so far, and how it was seeing Jordan Crawford at Auburn, and he actually lit up when I asked him about
Yeah.
that because you could tell that they were really close when Jordan was at Auburn, and he said it was awesome. Kind of Brett, what we said earlier, it was awesome being able to see how the coaches have used him. And he said, I barely even recognized him too. The nutrition plan that he's on, the workout plans. He said he doesn't even look like the same guy, but the transformation of, his body, his
Right.
face, everything, he was like, he's happy there too. And so I think that was just really, really sweet. And, being able to see just how excited he was to talk about seeing Jordan was awesome.
He's a big man. You want to say he's a kid, but he's a man. That's a grown man, and he is the top defensive lineman in the state, the number 4
Yep.
player in the state, one of the top D linemen in the country. Justin said Elvira. Yeah, I think he could absolutely hit the low part of that song. Would nail it, Justin. I think with his voice, you'll have to just tune in and watch. That'll be next Friday. That coming out on the front
Tomorrow,
row.
I've
Tomorrow will be
got
Maka.
my on the front row with Maka Charamba. He was also awesome, super, super sweet. You'll be able to hear his story of how he came over from Zimbabwe, why he came over from Zimbabwe. He had a tragedy in his life in 2021. So you'll be able to kind of hear all of that. He's actually just made a nation record for the 200 meter, number 4 in the world. And
Unbelievable.
I mean, he was very humble, very, very nice guy. So that'll come out at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I'm really excited about that one because, again, he was awesome. He was so cool.
He was very cool. We were going to get Faith and Maka to have a race, but Faith did not want to show Maka up after getting the national record and
Yeah,
busting
once I had my
her
hip
open.
surgery, it was like I've got a bionic hip, so, like, I wouldn't even be able to run in college because, that's just an unfair advantage to
That's right.
everybody.
Yeah,
So,
we wouldn't want to embarrass anybody, so we just decided to skip that part. But yeah, Justin, he is close with Jordan Crawford. You'll hear Faith talk about that with him in the interview. Jonathan, we appreciate you every day, War Eagle, to you out there, and all of you out there is with the 9 o'clock hour. Again, it's always fun. We'll be on location tomorrow at noon. We'll be doing the noon show at JR's in Alexander City. So excited about that. Our road show continues through the summer as we get things started, and that'll carry on all the way through football season. So many great partners that we're grouped up with. Thanks to all of you that continue to watch and listen each and every day. If you have not subscribed, please go do that. Man, we are on the cusp. I think less than 20 away from 7,000 subscribers. We appreciate it. Can't say enough about all of you helping us spread the word and helping us build our brand here with Auburn Blitz. And we're going to continue to work for you and bring you all of that, all the great information that we can come up with and we can share with you. Just said need an Auburn Blitz Summer Tour 25 shirt. All the stops on the back.
Also,
look at there. Pretty good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But that just actually made me think. I just reactivated my Facebook, and I got so many DMs and friend requests that I was able to get through. But I got so many DMs about hats, and they're from like 7 weeks ago. And so I'm so sorry. I literally never go on Facebook. Brett knows this. I reactivated my account yesterday to be able to get with our actual account. And so I was not ignoring anybody. And I feel so bad. I went on there and I was
dang, I'm glad she responded.
Oh my gosh, I feel awful. So, but we actually are out of hats right now.
We are out of hats. We
So
got to get that ordered. Might do a Summer Blitz, Auburn Blitz T-shirt with all the sponsors on the back that I think that'd be cool.
We're going to do bandanas too for dogs.
Lucy and Copper and all the dogs out there.
And
definitely
Oreo.
and Oreo. So yeah, for your dogs, we'll have some bandanas made. We just got to get a merch store going. We get so many requests everywhere we go. And hey, look, if you come to some of these on locations, whether it be at Byron's or Baumhauer's or JR's or Lake Martin Pizza or Stillwater's or wherever it is that we're at, we will have shirts with us. There's one way to get a shirt. Yep. Come see us. We'll have them with us. So again, we'll be again on the road tomorrow at JR's. We'll talk more about that in the morning as well. But we've got a lot going on. And yeah, if only we had a relationship with a printing company, Justin. I don't know where we'd get those shirts printed. Anyway, thanks to everybody out there for joining us each and every day. We'll be back with you right here, same time, same place in the morning for another edition of the Auburn Blitz podcast. Everybody, even though it's raining, go out and have
the best day ever.
And a big old
War Eagle.